Hi there. My name is D.G. Valdron. I'm a writer, sometimes a lawyer. These are my books, and these videos are called The Attic because it's where I store, my odds and ends. Okay, so I've been doing this series of articles or a series of YouTube videos on publishing contracts per se. And I've basically been doing kind of the mainstream stuff, but now I want to talk about indie publishing, because that's a whole separate kettle of fish. I mean, the wonderful thing about publishing contracts is you write the book, and if somebody likes it, they give you a contract and you sign it, and then you can forget all about it. No, it's not like that at all, but theoretically it is. Okay. But what if you're an indie publisher? What if you were doing your self-publishing? Well, then you've got a lot of contracts all over the place. So here's basically my advice. If you were doing your own self-publishing as an indie publisher, you are going to have to come up with at least a basic set of contracts. Let's start. Maybe you design your own book. Or if you don't design your book, then you need a designer. You want a contract with the designer. Maybe you are artistically inclined and you do your own cover. If that's the case, good for you. You will own the copyright in the cover. If you do not, if you commission a cover artist, if you commission a designer for the cover, then that cover is a copywritten work, and you are going to have to enter into a contract. Even if it is only for $1, even if it is your best friend, you should have something in writing, essentially to prove that you are the owner or that you have the license to use that cover. At the very least, an exchange of emails to basically confirm that. You need to have your paperwork in order. If you have an editor, I think you should have a contract with your editor that stipulates basically what they're going to do, how much you're going to pay them, how long this is supposed to take, and when it's going to be due back or due in. Now, the editor likely is not going to have a copyright claim on your work just because they've done editing services, but you probably want to guard against that, so you want something in writing there. So minimum 3-4 contracts going in. Okay. Is that all? No. Because if you are putting your books in a bookstore, you'll have to have a consignment agreement. If you're doing, personally, one book at a time or a couple of books at a time. Luckily, most bookstores will have consignment agreements that they use for different small presses or, for individuals who are just enthusiastic. So contract number 4, and here's the important thing. Groups like Amazon, Drafted Digital, Smashwords, Barnes & Nobles, Kobo, Google, Apple. You are going to be uploading your books to these places. They have standard term contracts. These are not negotiable, but you will have to abide by them. So you should probably be printing off copies of the contracts for wherever you upload your books. At a minimum, these contracts will require you to say that you are the owner of the copyright, or at least that you have permissions, and you should be able to have that, that you are the copyright holder. They will require you to provide metadata for each book. They will require you to provide personal information. They will require you to provide banking information and tax information. No getting around that. And because it's standard form, as I've said, there's no negotiation. So if you fall afoul of rules, you can get in trouble. So you want to be cautious and careful about that. My advice is that for each book that you do, if you're doing multiple books, you open a documents file, like a little paper file, that you keep all the contracts and all the correspondence, all the relevant material to your book. So your documents file or your contracts file would include your artist and cover designer contract, your book designer contract, your editor contract, the key information for your upload contract with Amazon or Draft to Digital, and anything else that you probably need to do or use. You may have to register or do some registrations. And you should have that there. For instance, if you are publishing a book in Canada, you have to have an ISBN. Not a big deal, because you can get an ISBN from Libraries Canada. You just have to sign in, fill out the forms and stuff, and you get it for free. If you're publishing a book in the United States, you need an ISBN that is an International Standard Book Number. It's kind of like a catalog reference number that's used internationally so that everybody knows the number of the book. It's for tracking purposes. In the United States, you have to buy them from somebody called Bowker, because in the United States, nothing is free. In Canada, once you've published a book, you have to send it to the National Archives and put it on as part of the deposit. So you send 2 copies to the Library of Canada, and if it's an ebook, you email them a copy of the ebook. And this is actually useful because, you're in the Central Library, you're in the National Library, but also I think because it goes towards proof and certification. If you are required to prove that you are the owner or copyright holder of the book, then there are registration services for copyright in both Canada and the United States. I haven't used them in quite a while, but basically you fill out a form, you pay a fee. If you do it in Canada, all you do is just send them a description, title of the book and stuff, and they'll send you a very nice certificate. If you're doing it in the United States, I think you actually send them the manuscript. But again, I don't feel the need to do these mostly, although I guess I have. But this is something that you want for your file. Essentially, if you are an indie publisher or self-publisher, you should have a separate documents file for each book, as well as your general documents file for all of your legal correspondence. Trust me, it will save you some time and energy and aggravation. Or maybe not, you have these things in case something goes wrong. So if something goes horribly wrong, you've got it. Better to have it and not use it than to use it, than to need it and not have it. Regarding indie publishing, one of the things that you probably should do is keep track of all your expenses. Keep another file for that. Keep a file for receipts. Because if you are self-publishing, some degree, possibly all of your publishing expenses may be tax deductible. It qualifies as a small business. So if you make $1,000 on your indie publishing and you've got no receipts and nothing to show for it, you're going to be paying, on that $1,000 to Revenue Canada or the IRS, which means they might take $300 to a few $100s from you. If you've got receipts, then you can apply your publishing expenses to your income. So if you're sufficiently creative and you spend $1,000 on your publishing and you make $1,000, then you can apply those expenses and end up with no taxes, because technically you've got no income, no net income. That's an example. And if you are going to do this, however, one of the things that you really need to do is segregate your publishing activities. So you want to have it at a specific area of the house. You want to have a specific set of files. You want to have stuff dedicated. Do not mix up your personal and professional life. Do not mix up your publishing life with the rest of your stuff. This is kind of the problem. The people that can get nailed are the people who kind of like, mix and match stuff. Anyway, I hope that this is useful information for you.